Well, I already like explosions, so I don't have to be convinced. Move on with your bad self.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
This is We Watch Movies.
Today's movie is Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is a 2020 fantasy adventure film directed by Jeff Fowler, starring James Marsden, Ben Schwartz, Tika Sumpter, and Jim Carrey. Now move on synopsis.
So Sonic is going really, really fast in the Green Hill Zone, and then Owl Lady's like, bro, you ain't safe here. Throws ring, sends him to Earth, gives him bag of rings. He's on Earth. He's there for a couple years. He grows up. The government is like, hey, what's that surge? And sends Dr. Robotnik. And he's like, machines. And Sonic's like, yo, fam, gotta get out of here and eat some chili dogs. And so they do like a road trip to San Francisco. It's the fastest road trip ever. And then and then they race around the planet. The end.
Yeah, but not like race around the planet like Superman raced around the planet and like took back the like last 20 minutes of the movie before that point.
We're using portals.
Yeah. Now you're thinking with portals. Which like that sequence is like made me think a lot of the like in one of the like the in chase sequence of Monsters Incorporated, where they're like going in and out of the like door warehouse and they're, you know, popping out in Nepal or Louisiana or wherever and like various things are happening and they're just running from closet to closet because all the doors are activated.
Yeah, I would say that this movie is definitely filled with references out the wazoo.
Well, I don't think they're referencing that necessarily.
Well, no, I'm just saying like the references are like the video game references specifically. And they happen to be using it in such a fashion where it's just like, it's like the Scooby-Doo chase scenes where it's like a hallway with all these doors and they just
come in and out of either side and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of like that what's the name for that? Crazy ass chase scene. That's all you need to know. Crazy ass chase scene. We're in China on the Great Wall. And the government couldn't censor that, huh?
I mean, he does say room to open it up, which like his speed seems sort of variable because it seems like
go fast.
He has to go fast because at one point he travels from wherever they are, probably still in Montana because they haven't been driving in the truck very long, to off the edge of California and gets a fish on his head and comes back. And that seems like I know the Great Wall of China is real long, but do you happen to know offhand how long the Great Wall of China is?
It's like 1,000 miles or something.
It seems like something.
Well, okay,
like that.
So the reason why that scene where it's like you see him run across the length of it and Robotnik's right behind him, like they make a comment about like Robotnik being faster than he was and actually being able to keep up.
Because I know he's got the Sonic quill at that point. But no, so it's not that Robotnik can keep up. It's just that it seems like it's taken him an unusually long amount of time to run along the Great Wall of China compared to other distances we've seen
that's
run previously.
That's actually for us because it's like if you have these two entities that you're supposed to be following that are moving really, really fast and we can't see them, then we ourselves have to be able to witness them at that speed. It's like, listen, I watch Dragon Ball Z. I watch DBZ, and whenever they're on Planet Namek and Goku and Frieza are fighting each other, and Frieza's like, nah, it'll take like 5 minutes. And then like it's another 15 episodes. It's because like they're moving so fast that we are watching them at the same speed they're like fighting each other. So like the time isn't moving normally. We are super fast with Robotnik and Sonic.
But it also takes 15 more episodes because they're gonna like monologue a lot as well. So not just punchy the whole time.
I'm gonna slap some sense into you, and actually slaps him.
So the like Green Hills thing is like it's kind of weird that he starts out in like the Green Hill Zone with like the loop and everything.
Well, like,
because and then the town is named that too, because like you could have just named the town that and then like referential, and then if we never saw that the real place was a real place, like that's transposing it enough that we get what's happening here.
Well, I kind of find it funny because like the first Sonic game, first level is Green Hill, and that's the first thing that we see in the movie is literally that zone.
Yeah, but he's not like under attack or anything.
No, well, yet
until later. And
I'm not 100% sure what they're supposed to be, but I'm pretty sure that's the Echidna tribe. That's the name of the animal, right? Echidna, because that's what Knuckles is, the red one, yeah. And so it's like
they have like hoods and stuff on, so
like
can't
the
really see them.
leather kind of like, oh, we're wearing clothes, but there's no reason because everyone else is naked.
Yeah. Well, Sonic wears
gloves,
sneakers and gloves,
shoes.
but
I love that
because he's basically
so
Mickey
much.
Mouse. Like, why does Mickey Mouse wear gloves? Like, what's wrong with his hands? But
what's wrong with his hands are the same thing that was wrong with the original Sonic design.
Well,
absolutely horrendous.
The thing about the original Sonic design is like the original Sonic design is like the like tooth like thing and the like the okay. So since I'm here, I'm gonna say a little bit about it, but what I'm really going to do is just recommend that you read Blake Harris's book Console Wars, because also it's really, really, really good, and you should know if you care about like this kind of thing about the history of this period of video games and like what was going on between Nintendo and Sega and why you should dislike Nintendo a great deal, because they were like basically evil corp for a long time and kind of still are. And also how dumb a company can be, or parts of a company can be and not listen to the parts that aren't dumb. But like Sega of Japan and Sega of America fought about everything, and Japan was almost always wrong, but they didn't care. And so, but if like the Sonic design that they wanted, he's got like big fang-like teeth, and instead of just having like apostrophe tood, he was like he, instead of like being like, gee whiz, this biker bar, he would have been like a member of the biker bar. He like wore a leather jacket and had like babes hanging off his arms, and it was really bad, and we would never have had Sonic if they hadn't like basically snuck the design that they wanted into being what the public saw. And then Sega of Japan didn't have any choice, really. And then they still kind of wanted to split it and release that version in Japan, but they didn't end up really doing it.
Well,
but so like what we have, the like mild but with attitude Hedgehog, is like something we almost didn't have.
Well, like whenever they had the animated series, there was the first one, which has the design everyone's so familiar with, but that's where like a lot of that dialogue comes from. But then there was like the Sonic Underground series, which is weird because there's 3 of them and they play instruments, and that does have those kinds of elements of I have leather jacket and I'm really snarky, but we still have to defeat the bad guys, and I'm just like, what is this? Which is still better than like the new Sonic show, which is weird.
I haven't watched the new
like,
Sonic
why
show.
is this human person trying to screw Sonic? Like, stop it. Leave that to that Chris Chan guy or whatever.
Because anthropomorphism? I don't know. But there is, I don't know, there the story, especially in like the first couple of Sonic games, is like kind of vague.
Yeah.
There's a bad guy and you run around, and like the idea of like even the travel rings thing is not a thing. You just pick up rings because like Mario picks up coins, and so like you have to pick up something.
Yeah, you have to have a scoring system
and
of
so,
some
like,
kind.
there's no, it's very like, this is our Mario, which is what it was, but except we gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Which if you look at them now, if you look at Super Mario Brothers in '85 and you look at Sonic 1 in what is it, 91 or 92, it doesn't look that much faster. Like Mario moves at like a decent speed. He doesn't like have the like dash thing, but like he has momentum, and like once he gets going, and actually if you play what's the name of it? It's like a Mario ripoff on the NES. It's I think it's in Kid Icarus kind of also, but there's a game called Kid Cool, which actually is kind of also like the original Sonic design, except it's a human where he has like a leather jacket with like the sleeves cut off, and he's supposed to be like really cool and have attitude. But it is very much like Mario, except he has like really serious momentum. And so like if you go fast for a long time, then like he'll slide if you let off because he has so much momentum, and actually it makes it hard to play sometimes because you're still trying to platform, and you'll be going fast and then you'll jump and you'll go way farther than you want to because he has so much momentum. And so like Sonic does have like a momentum thing more than Mario did. And Mario actually I think slowed down over time by the time you get to like World, like 3 and World, and then I think Mario 1 he actually runs faster than he does later and slides more. But,
and what's funny is because Sonic, he gets fast, because like the first Sonic game, you're not that fast.
Not that fast.
But by time you get to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, like I remember clearing zones in less than a minute. And it's just like you're down, jump, you're spinning, and you spin 2 seconds, and you just let go, and then just learn the map well enough. You know when to jump, you know what to do. You just avoid enemies, and you're just loop-de-looing all over the place, and you're at the final boss of that zone, and it's only been like 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring that up because Sonic and Knuckles was actually the first Sonic game I ever got to play. Mostly because, like, when we got a console, it was a Sega Genesis, and my mother bought that as one of the games that they had. And so I remember playing as either Sonic or Knuckles, and the first stage of just that game by itself was Mushroom Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was funny because, you know, you have like Green Hill, now you have Mushroom Hill. And like, that's the same kind of thing that Dr. Robotnik got sent to, because they keep bringing up like a world of mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are trees in Mushroom Hill, though, and there are no trees on Mushroom Planet wherever he sends it.
Oh, yeah.
Which seems like not a very... It's kind of like a Star Wars planet kind of ecosystem where it's like there's one thing on this planet, and that's not really how planets work.
And it's mushrooms.
But it happens to be mushrooms. Which, like, it's not exactly because we end up, like, going back and seeing him. But, like, at first, it's almost like they send him to the Phantom Zone or something. We're just, like, we send him through the portal, and then the portal closes, and we're not gonna...
At this point, he might as well just been, like, attached to a mushroom, two-dimensional, and just spinning.
Yeah, but then we come back to him in the, like, mid-credits, and he's got, like, the full Robotnik mustache.
Yeah, it's like, it looks like he's like he's been zapped.
Going crazy.
And he shaves his head and just...
With a rock.
Yeah, I think that's... I'm not going to say that, Jim Carrey carried the movie, because I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did.
But I love the fact that it really does feel like Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey.
It's fun to have wacky Jim Carrey again, because we haven't had it for a while.
But he's not nice wacky, like
no, he's
very
like
evil,
he's evil wacky, but he's still like he's making broad gestures and doing funny voices and things, and so like he's much more like halfway to being a cartoon Jim Carrey than we've gotten. For a number of movies now, which I'm surprised. I didn't think he wanted to do that anymore. I'm surprised that they managed to get him to do it, or that he wanted to do it.
Well, I hadn't got to it yet because we were going to do the show today, but I found that there was like a minor interview with Jim Carrey for him playing the role, and I wanted to watch it so I could like see his take on some stuff. But I like how they handle his character from being like, I'm uppity and I'm self-absorbent and I'm better than you, and the government lets me do what I want because I do what I want benefits them, and so they give me all this girth. And I love machines, so like they're keeping track of like how Dr. Robotnik's personality really is, but incorporating him into like the world they're making.
Yeah, into like sort of real life.
And then it's just like, okay, well his machines can fly, which is good because we run into a lot of flying machines. And then he finally has like his own personal flying drone, which we see him ride in all of the games. So that's good. But then it's just like as he keeps losing or keeps running into Sonic and like these things don't pan out for him, like that shift between like I'm now on a pedestal because haha, I finally got you, I'm the bad guy of a cartoon, to the I'm losing my mind and I'm crazy because I'm also the bad guy trying to rebuild my stuff. And from like just the Sonic games, I don't watch any of the new shows, so I'm gonna ignore them. And if you're listening to this and you're like, but I watched this, like, shh, stop it, I'm not talking about that. All right, what I'm talking
They're
about,
not talking about that.
yeah, I'm talking about like Sonic 2, Sonic 1, Sonic 3, and Knuckles. Whenever you're playing these games and you run into any of these machines that are obviously attacking you, most of them, not all, but most of them look like mechanized versions of animals. And whenever you destroy one, you normally get like points, but you also see like a small woodland creature kind of run off. And you find out that he's actually been taking these animals and turning them into robots. And I kind of find that interesting that because now he's in this mushroom world, I have a feeling he's going to do the exact same thing over there. Like he's got some parts left. He's going to start over from scratch. There's no one to stop him over there to take over the world. He's going to do that. And then he's going to start using these animals to power these little robots. Because like if one quill from Sonic can power all of this stuff, then even though these other animals, like they're not as strong as he is, but if they can act as a power source, you just grab a squirrel, shove that squirrel in a box, and then put that box in a giant wasp robot. Well, now it's powered and it can do whatever you want it to do.
Well, that he still had the quill was the thing that was the most surprising about it, because it seemed like we didn't really see it, but like Sonic kind of like used the Force to disconnect it from the jet thing
to drain it,
but he didn't like take it.
Yeah.
So he still has it.
He can't just like shove it back into his head.
Well, no, but I mean, like he did. Like he's doing this. Like he's using the Force. Like it looks like he's using the Force. Like he's holding his hand out and he's like pulling on it. But it doesn't. Like I guess he can't like actually use the Force, so he can't just like make it lift out and come over to him. But I guess it is kind of like he doesn't really become the character from the games until like after the end of the movie, because now he's like really crazy and like the head shave and everything,
and he keeps the flight suit,
which
I think is a good way of kind of incorporating that
because they can't make him like
shift.
Literally round, so like he's not, they can't do the Dr. Eggman part because that would just be silly.
Well, I also think that's
pull these little elements.
Well, I think that's kind of funny because whenever you like see him in the shows or you see him in the games and he is walking, he has like those stick legs, but he has that kind of weird gant. Like each step he takes is almost like, I don't want to say robotic because that's a bit too on the nose, but it doesn't look like a what you would expect from a normal person's walk.
Yeah.
And so like putting on the red flight suit, and it's like, oh, it's a flight suit. It's supposed to, it's scientifically proven to be better.
Yeah.
It's like, so now we have him in red. I'm like, all right, this is good.
He does say reduce drag though, which seems unnecessary because the cockpit has like a canopy.
Yeah.
So
and then he's there and he's still wearing the red and he's got like the backpack of machine stuff on.
Yeah.
And he's like full robot stepping it. He's gone. He is full blown gone.
But his grasp on sanity remains absolute.
Oh yeah.
But
wink wink, nudge nudge.
It does not, but he thinks I mean
he throws the rock.
He's the rock that looks like the henchman guy. Which he doesn't get very much to do, but I like when he's talking to Neil McDonough's army guy, and he's like translating, and he's like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "He's saying you're basic." Like, I like his
Haha, young people talk.
like translate the smart guy talking to you as like an extra bit of demeaning. Which, like, why did they even send the military? Because it was like the military that was like, let's send Dr. Robotnik. So like, why did they even bother to like send the military and then have him show up and
well, I think the military were going to be there just as like immediate reaction. Because like that's what I would expect from the government is you would send like local reserves or whatever military installation is local to that area.
I mean, there's not so much anymore like there used to be because most of them have been decommissioned. But you know, it's Montana, so there used to be a bunch of missile silos and stuff, and so there was a bunch of army bases and stuff around where you could get people from. But they're not really doing anything. Like they're kind of setting up. Like there is
not even a good perimeter.
No, because he just like drives up in his truck like before he shows his like badge with a TV on it to anybody. Which that truck says Freightliner on the front of it, but then like in the credits it's a different company that gets the special thanks, and so I guess maybe like it doesn't say Freightliner in the credits, and so I don't know what the deal with that was. But also, like, that's not just a regular truck that you could just go to the Freightliner dealer and buy.
It's so nice. It's so nice. I'm just gonna say, like, his toys are on point. Like the drones are cool. The giant truck RV thing is cool.
Yeah, with like his science lab in the back of it.
The smaller Humvee looking thing that's chasing him down with the grappling hook is cool. The fact that a smaller one comes out of it after it gets knocked over. Like just that sequence I thought was really good for having action comedy for children. Because it has to be simple enough that everyone can understand the joke, but it also has to be entertaining enough to move the story forward while keeping our interest. And even their reaction to like, it's just one tire with an eyeball.
Yeah.
And it's got switchblades.
Yeah. Which like he's talking to no one. Like he's talking as if he's talking to them, but they can't hear him. He's just being like really, really arrogant and just like just bragging to the empty room about how great he is during the chase.
And then it fails in these holy chili dogs. And then the guy's right behind him. Hey, I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Agent Stone.
I mean, we should back up to the well, I don't even know where we are actually in time, but the one thing that was a little like, wait, what just happened? Was it seems like a biker bar hot rod party thing like sneaks up on them.
Yeah.
Somehow, because like they're at the gas station across the street. We didn't see it when they drove up. We didn't hear it. They didn't hear it. And then suddenly there's a hot rod like biker like crazy like who knows what's happening, you know, like motorcycle donuts and arm wrestling and hot rods and loud heavy music and a bar that we didn't just like, and suddenly it's over there. Like it just totally snuck up on everyone.
And we don't serve children, but
No.
it's okay because he's 43.
Which he's not. I mean, we don't really. I mean, I guess he is an alien, right? Like he's from a different. He says he's from a place.
Technically, he would be considered
they're
an
gonna.
alien.
She's gonna send him to this safe place across the universe, and so like that means he's not from Earth, and it's not like
But he's a hedgehog.
He is well, that's what he says. I'm a hedgehog, isn't it obvious? It's like,
What?
Not really. And he doesn't have the shoes right away, but that's because he's gonna get them later.
Oh, I love it so much. Little girl just running around. Gotta go fast.
Yeah. Well, actually, okay. So I said the only thing, But the other thing is, what exactly is the story purpose of the wife's sister that just hates him?
I have no idea.
Because we meet her hating him.
Yeah.
Like, the first words that she says is something negative about him. We've never seen her before.
Divorce.
We have nothing, and it's like, but he wants to move to where, like, he wants to move with your sister to the town where you live. Like, is this bad? Like, what, isn't this better than them being far away in Montana? Like, he's not like the doofus other one police guy that the town seems to have.
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing wrong, like, actively wrong with him. We haven't seen him do anything wrong. She doesn't know that he's, like, off getting involved with, like, this weird thing back in Montana. So,
well, it's not
no
until it's on the
reason-
news and he's like, he's a local terrorist.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, okay.
There's no reason for her to hate him. And it's just, I guess it's supposed to give us some comedy of her, like, being tied up or something, but it doesn't, like, we don't know her, so we don't really care about her, and it makes no sense how, like, adversarial she is. And she doesn't, like, become, it's not like you remember, like, the grandma that we don't see that in the first Transformers movie, when, like, he just like yells across the house at her when she says to, like, keep things down and stuff, when she shows up with the flash drive with the Transformer transmission on it.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't even serve, like, a purpose like that, because it's sort of similar. Like, she's there in the house with the place and the thing that's important, but, like, there's no reason at all for her to exist in the story. And she wasn't, like, so annoying that I was like, can we please stop with this? But it just took up time that I don't know why. Maybe there was something else that was cut out, or maybe I don't know, because the way that it is, I don't know what the point was.
Yeah, we don't even get an interaction between, like, her and Sonic in a more, like, direct fashion, because, like, she's been tied up the whole time.
Yeah, she passes out, and then she's tied up and, like, facing away and, like, in another room. So she's not involved in the circumstance at all. They borrow her car, and for some reason let Sonic drive. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Sonic drive.
Like, that's one of the jokes that fell flat for me, because it's like that's one of the only things I didn't find funny, like, at all. Like, I even found some of the stupid fart jokes more entertaining, just because the characters themselves react to the fart for the fart joke to even halfway work. But then it's just like between, like, the sister and then, like, why they let him drive the car, I don't even know. How did his legs even reach it?
I don't know. I mean, he was driving the truck earlier, so, like, that he has the ability to drive is okay. But I mean, he has the physical ability to drive. He doesn't have the capability to drive. He doesn't know how to drive because he doesn't drive.
He just learned it that day.
Yeah, he just runs. It's like, where did you learn to drive? Like, right now. But she's reading the manual for some reason, which, like, kind of felt like Ham is reading the manual in Toy Story when they're, like, trying to drive to the airport, or Toy Story 2. Like, there's no reason for him to read the manual.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to teach you how to drive.
No, it's not going to teach you how to drive. But, and I did like that they drive up outside the house, and, like, it's basically a Baja truck now. There's just, like, no top on it at all, and, like, they still drove the rest of the way to California.
Well, it still ran.
Yeah.
It still ran. We ain't got a choice. Get in.
There's like the coffee. There's one coffee joke too that I didn't understand, and I don't know if maybe there's, like, some establishment from the games that I don't remember, because I don't really remember the story of the games.
Well, if it was something from the games, it's going to be one of, like, some of the more recent games, because, like, after, I think it was Sonic Adventures, like, the first one, like, after that one, I didn't play any more of them. So if there was, like, oh, I'm drinking coffee, I wouldn't know about it. Because
it's because the henchman guy, like, brings in coffee when he's in the middle of his, like, embarrassing dance research thing that's happening.
I love the way
and he's like angry.
coffee.
Yeah, and then he's angry, and then he's not. So it's like,
He's angry in such a positive way.
Mm-hmm. I thought you would want one. Of course I want one! I love how you make coffee. Which, is there some kind of, like vague, like, are they in some, like, weird, complicated relationship beyond, like, the henchman thing that we think is happening?
I have no idea.
Because it's really odd. It's the only occurrence of that kind of thing, but it's very strange. I do like the, like, hold yourself against the wall thing, too. Like, he doesn't really do anything. He just tells people to do things.
He pops him in the throat earlier.
He does do that, yeah. Which he walks off really fast.
You let your guard down! Like, that one did make me flinch, because, like, I didn't expect him to do, and he just, like, goes in for the kill. Just like, wow. Damn.
He does have... like we get some of his history, like just conversationally, where like he talks about the orphanage and that he's like smart and has machines and stuff.
I don't have parents.
But he doesn't really get an origin, or like here's his whole history, or we see like baby Dr. Robotnik in the orphanage or something in a flashback. And like I'm really glad about like that we can just get like just enough that we understand kind of who he is, even if you don't know outside the movie, but we don't have to give him this like whole thing, and like there's no like attempt to make him sympathetic or...
Well, see, it's not even that. It's like, excuse me. It's like, if we were to have a flashback of him as a child in the orphanage, he would have to be a fat baby with a mustache.
I guess that would
be
the
a
way...
screwdriver. Like it would
be
have
the way to get
just as fun.
The Eggman part in.
Yeah.
He could be like round as a baby and then like turn into skinny Jim Carrey.
Like it would have to be as cartoony to see him as an infant at the orphanage as it would be just seeing him go about being I'm an evil mad scientist, but I am just too ridiculous to be taken seriously in any real regard.
Yeah. Oh, what was the name of the country? Azerbaijanistan, I think it was. Like, that was really funny, too. It was like, that's not even a place. And you have Dr. Robotnik to thank for that. It's like, you're just making things up at a government meeting. It's so silly.
See, I actually kind of enjoy the simplicity of the government just being
I like that they're just straight silly and
yeah.
incompetent. That it's not like sometimes they kind of know what they're doing.
Like, nope, the government is incredibly stupid. These people are stupid. And they're going to give you a $50 gift card to Olive Garden because the salad and breadsticks are endless. Was it the soup?
It was the soup, yeah.
Man, no one goes to Olive Garden for soup. They go for the unlimited breadsticks and then the salad because it's actually good salad. What is this?
And the pasta bowl, the unlimited pasta bowl. People like that.
Okay, I'll give them that. Cause, you know, I mean,
so we do have to address this. Is this like, you know, in an in fairness to Michael Bay kind of way? Like, is it Sonic the Hedgehog, brought to you in part by Olive Garden? Like, is that what's happening here? Because the first instance of it is so strange. Because they mention it and then they, like, finish the catchphrase for each other. But it's not, like, pre-established. And so it feels like we took a moment to have an Olive Garden commercial. And then now we're back to the movie. And, like, it's kind of funny. But it's so branded that it's weird, and then that it comes back at the end with the gift card, and they like sell it a little bit more. I don't know if maybe they just thought like this is funny and they just got permission, but it's very odd.
Kids like Olive Garden,
it's
right?
very overt. I mean, like Jace has to
like
Olive Garden like way too, and it's. I guess, but it is odd. It's the most like there's a couple of other things that I can't even remember offhand that seemed a little bit brandy, but like that's the one that's the most overt. It felt like Claire turns to the parents and said in Heroes when they say we're giving you the car and says the Rogue, and it's so non-conversational and is like not something that a real person would say. And it's extra disappointing because they handle the Nissan Versa thing so much better. Where like it is so advertisey, but also it feels really like character based and And
But like they
and it's
literally have a
enjoyable.
thing saying we're gonna
I
get
know.
this Nissan Versa, and he's like,
Yeah, 'cause
no,
it's
like that's
in-
what the thing says.
It's in the
Like,
comic book, so
this.
it's in the predictive comic book, so like that makes sense. But there's nothing like that for the Rogue later, and it really is like brought to you in part by Nissan.
All right, so they included the Sonic meme. And I love it so much because when I went to the theater and I went up to the stand to buy my ticket, I said, Sonic, please. And the guy literally says, what movie? He looks me in the eye and he says that. And I go, Sonic the Hedgehog? And he's like, oh, Sonic. And he's just, all right, it'll be this much. And I'm like, oh, it was so good. And then they actually, Crazy Carl's got like the picture, and it's the same picture. Like, granted, it says, obviously drawn on with crayon on something else, but I'm just saying, it's the fact that they included that made me so happy.
Yeah.
So happy. It's like they know the meme exists and they included it because they know the fans like that kind of stuff. And it's just like, oh, yeah, the guy's crazy. It doesn't matter. The Blue Devil, whatever. It's Sonic.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm. And it turns out that Crazy Carl was not having beer with his cereal again. Like, it's real.
It's real.
The bear traps thing is like a little. That's the thing that's the most like on the edge of being kind of mean spirited, because like Sonic does kind of leave him hanging from a bear trap in the woods. And it's like unnecessary because he doesn't have to be like running around close to Crazy Carl at all if he's trying to keep himself secret. So like it's a scene just for comedic purposes.
Well, it is both, because Sonic has been protecting all of these woodland animals, and he's got to set the traps off so they don't hurt anybody, and he knows he can do it himself. We know that Crazy Carl was not going to be injured while he was being hung upside down. That was the joke. Because if he was, like, he would be in pain, screaming in pain, like, not screaming at the Blue Devil.
A bear trap breaks your leg.
Yeah.
Like, for real. But.
And then, like, just, like, the whole conversation part, like, I know you're real. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, that was played up for comedy.
Crazy Carl should buy a camera.
He should. It'd all be blurry anyways.
At least it would be something. It would be a blue, unexplainable blur.
It'd just be blue Bigfoot. That's all it would be. And he's already running around with a chainsaw, so.
Not anymore.
No, they then took it away.
Just put the chainsaw down.
I like he actually eats all of the chili dogs in the bar fight. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, the bar fight. So I've never been in a bar fight or like a fight really at all. So like but it's such a movie thing to be like someone punches someone and then everyone punches everyone, and like it immediately degenerates into like everyone is their own like person and they're gonna like fight anyone who comes close, like regardless of what else might have been happening before.
We didn't start the fire.
And so like I don't know if that's a thing. Like I know that like bar fights can get out of hand, but it's just like the guy punches the guy, like the guy bumps into the guy because he got punched, and he turns around and punches him, and then everything just falls apart.
Yeah, it just devolves into like
just like right away.
I do like that he like tries to like actually punch the guy, and he's like, I cannot inflict any damage.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, so
taps him with the bottle and it doesn't break.
Bloop. This isn't how it's supposed to go. Like, bro, use some of that speed.
Yeah. Well, the using the speed as like a slow motion kind of thing is like a neat mechanism, I guess. And at least he has like, well, not a real justification because we don't know how Sonic the Hedgehog works, but like, do you remember Over the Hedge?
Yeah.
where like they give the squirrel the energy drink at the end, and like he goes into like hyperspeed and like does everything while everyone else seems to be like time is frozen. Like it's just that, like it's just that scene. But like that's not like that makes no sense, except that Over the Hedge is ridiculous and outrageous, and so like it doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense. But like it makes more sense here because we know that Sonic is fast.
Well, like it's not just that he's fast; it's like he seems to be powered by something, which this is something that
there's a little like Captain Marvel powers kind of thing happening here too, where like he doesn't really know what he can do, and like sometimes it explodes if certain things happen. Or
we'll see, like at least with Captain Marvel, like we understand where her powers do come from, and in this we don't get it.
No,
but
other people are trying to like steal the power though.
Yeah, and so like one of the things that they don't explain, but I would like to see, because I have a feeling that this movie has made, from the time we're recording this on Monday, over $111 million.
Yeah, but it costs like 90 something.
It did, but like we're doing pretty good. So it's
only been out a week, so not even a week.
Yeah, it's like this was the weekend,
so like it's okay.
And so based off of the money that this movie's going to make, the fact that it has good press, I expect that they will sooner or later put out another one. And because because a lot of the money that they lost was having to do the redesign, but between that, it's just like, okay, now they don't have to worry about that expense anymore because that's been taken care of. So I kind of want them to bring the Chaos Emeralds in, because the Chaos Emeralds were like a really important part of the original games and like the whole overarching story points through like half the shows. That's where like the Super Saiyan jokes come from, like Golden Sonic with the aura and everything. Is like you get all the Chaos Emeralds, you activate the power, bam, there you go. And that's almost what we see in the movie, only without the color change and without the full constant aura. So, you know, that's what like it made me feel that way. I just would like to see some story growth in that direction later on.
So what I do wonder though is that while like it's family friendly and stuff, like Sonic is like an us as kids thing, and like he's still around. Like I guess there's the new cartoon and whatever, but the like Sonic is cool and Mario is less cool, like kind of thing, like that doesn't exist anymore. And like how much of an attachment or like caring do current kids have about Sonic, I wonder. And so like is this like not really like, is this more for us and like kids can see it if they want?
Well, I know that like there have been more constant like Sonic TV shows. I know that they had at least been releasing numerous Sonic games throughout the years. So it's not like they stopped doing it and they only throw something out every so often. Like it's been a constant. But I also feel like the actual fandom behind Sonic isn't as openly public as a lot of the other fandoms. Like if I'm out in public and I'm just looking at people going by, I am more likely going to see like a Nintendo shirt or somebody having Mario merchandise or something Pokemon related, or maybe another video game franchise like Halo
something
or
with
Call
a
of Duty.
Triforce on it. Like you're not.
Yeah, like something towards that line, because you're not going to see much of Sonic directly, and I'd say most of that is if you see it on a younger kid, it's not going to be so much of a problem. But there is a level of stigma behind the, like, it's, I guess you'd say, being anywhere between 12 and 18 and openly liking Sonic, especially anything that's newer, is going to kind of, you're going to get made fun of. Now, if you like Pokemon, like people like love Pokemon all over the spectrum, but like this, like Sonic isn't like that. Like you can be old and like Sonic because you have like that nostalgia factor where it's like, hey, listen, I grew up with Sonic. This is the Sonic that I like. I don't care about that Sonic. That's yours, but this is mine. And then you're going to have the younger kids who are going to be like, hey, I like Sonic. I played Sonic Boom and I like the new cartoon that's out that's playing on whatever channel. Like, that's fine. But, you know, once you start getting, it's like you're too old to play with toys kind of thing. Like, it's almost like that. And so I would say that they are going to make a level of money just because having made this movie and having enough fan support behind it, because the turnout for this movie was great. Like, it really was. Like, Pokemon was going to be like a very obvious, like, yes, people are going to go see this because it is Pokemon. But having it turn out this well for Sonic, especially after the previous controversy, like, if no one really knew Sonic, they will now. They might not be as interested in it, but it's kind of letting people know that Sonic's not dead, so it might bring more attention to, like, maybe older Sonic games, because, like, Sonic Mania came out. Love Sonic Mania. It plays just like all the old ones that I grew up with, so I know they can make the good games. I know they're still going to make the TV shows. They're still going to sell merchandise to some extent. Like, it's still going to exist. It's just, at what level of acceptance is it going to be okay to like Sonic, to what degree? And I think between this movie and then maybe something else that they might release, if they can keep the fandom happy to that point, then it is just going to grow.
It may also help that there's not like anything else for kids out right now, really. I guess Doolittle maybe, but
yeah, Doolittle flopped.
Yeah. But like there's nothing else. Like everything else that's out right now is not really for kids, and there's nothing else that has like animation in it, an animated element in it, except for Doolittle. I guess maybe like it's like 2 months old now, but I think probably Jumanji is still playing in some places, but you've probably already seen it by now if you were going to. And so there's nothing else, because there aren't even any like there aren't even any superhero movies except for Birds of Prey, which is not for kids.
Well, it's not one. All right, so I'm glad you brought this up, because that means I ain't got to do it. Okay, so
we can't do it on the show because it'll be Evolution, because I've seen it already, and like if we have to talk about it, we can't talk about it because I'll just be like sad and angry intermittently, and not like I have nothing interesting to anyone else to say about it.
Evolution was special because Kenny loved it and you hated it, and it was two extremes.
Well,
you don't like Birds of Prey, and I don't like anything I've seen of it. And I'm going to say I have not watched it, and I do not have any interest in watching it. Now, you may ask, hey, how do you feel you can justify your opinion without having watched it? And I'm like, okay, fair point. I have not watched it, so I cannot make any direct comments about the movie. But what I can't talk about is my experience with the movie outside of the movie itself. One, the advertisement is not that good. It really isn't, because I know people who have seen it who are like, meh, and the advertisement makes it look like it's either edgier or it's like more hardcore or however you want to put it than what it really is. Like, the substance seems to be different than what the trailers make it look. All right, that's fine. I've only seen the trailers, but I'm not interested based off the trailers. Two, the name is absolutely horrible. I hate saying it. I will not say it. They should have simply kept it as
like
Harley Quinn
title,
and the Birds of Prey. That's it. Done. Simple. I know who Harley Quinn is. Most people who watch the DC movies should know, because obviously Suicide Squad. And I know who the Birds of Prey are. And if you don't, well, this would be just go watch the old show Birds of Prey. It's half decent. I know my mother loves it, but, you know, it's not bad. It's just not super great. So go watch that instead. You'll have a more fun time. Then the press. The press has, like, literally pushed me away from even attempting to watch it just to see how I would feel about it. Because even though it's, like, 2 weeks old now, it made no money. And then people were complaining about it not making any money. And then people were complaining that men were the reason it wasn't making any money. and then men should go see it. And I'm like, okay, well, I know, like, I didn't go see it that weekend, but I know I'm going to go see Sonic. And then, like, oh, you shouldn't go see Sonic because Sonic's for children. I'm like, but I was involved in the complaining because that previous design was god-awful. And if I'm putting my money where my mouth is, I complained, they fixed, I will support. I have supported, I enjoy it. And if you're going to criticize me for enjoying something, and saying that I'm less than because of it, simply because I chose Sonic over DC, then why would I want to support DC? You know, I know it's not DC's fault as a whole, you know, but like whenever you just have all these random people just saying all of these negative things about the audience, not the movies. You know, and like that's something that kind of really irks at me. It's like, hey, I probably would have went and seen it sooner or later anyways, but now I don't want to see it because I don't want to be as involved in this this whole shambly charade of BS that people have created around these movies and not the movies themselves. It's not like, ooh, the movie is like super controversial and you have to see it, or you're like no, it just was a bad movie.
No, it's not I mean, like, people thought the Joker was controversial, and Joker controversy was artificial also, because, like, it's not controversial.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, it's not, there's nothing, like, any more advocating about this particular movie than any other violent movie. So it was fake. It was a fake controversy. And so, like, this is not, like, controversial. Like, there shouldn't be any, like, men hate it because there's like most of the characters are women and they're empowered or something, because like that's not really what's going on anyway. And there's plenty to dislike about it, apart from if you just happen to like not care about women in movies. But it's I do hate the title also. I hate like overly pretentious title. Like I even hate the Doctor Strangelove title, just because I don't like excessively lengthy titles, because like it immediately adds a, like, at least even if it doesn't turn out to be that, a like first impression of pretentiousness, and so then like that's not helpful.
Well, I would say I'm only okay with an incredibly pretentious name if the movie itself is meant to be pretentious, because then it's keeping
Like
character.
Birdman?
Yeah, because then it's keeping continuity. You know, it's like, hey, like we're sticking with a thing from start to finish. We're not gonna lie to you. This is what it is. I'm more okay with Strangelove, only because the name is so incredibly. I don't want to say dumb, but it's just like Dr. Strangelove, or how to stick your thumb up your ass and love explosive devices. Well, I already like explosions, so I don't have to be convinced. Move on with your bad self. No, and now I'm going to thank our audience. Because obviously if you listen through it to this far, thank you. But I appreciate that you've listened to us. Now, we are critics. Believe it or not, we are critics. Because like, and the reason why I'm going to say this is because like there's going to be people who post on websites. That's fine. Your opinion's out there. There's people who make videos. That's fine. Your opinion is out there. And then you have these people who are like, oh, well, I'm a top critic on Rotten Tomato. I'm like, listen, your opinion is not any more valid than anyone else's. Like there is not a school to go to be a critic. Like that's not how it works. I don't care if you work for a special newspaper or special website. Like, no. Like, our opinions are just as valid as everyone else's. And the reason why I'm nailing this so spot on today is because I enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog. I thought it was a really fun movie. And when I have people out here,
Yeah, fun.
who
is right.
who
Fun
who are
is
who
fun.
are top critics, and they're just this movie is terrible. I'm like, well, it's obviously not that terrible if people can go to the movie and really enjoy themselves, because that was the point of it. It might not be a critically acclaimed. Someone's not going to win Oscars for it, but most of the time that's not the point. And so if someone is saying that a movie is terrible and they give like a Shaw answer where it's like, oh, well, it felt like a road trip movie. Yes, this movie very much did feel like a road trip movie from beginning to end, because there was a lot of traveling and a lot of moving around. And then you had you had Sonic and you had the Donut Lord having to bond. And I thought that was perfectly fine. It's a movie designed for children with a lot of nostalgia factors in it for the audiences who already like Sonic. And there was nothing wrong with that.
And for sure, it's not really breaking new ground here. Like, it's not going to like blow you away with its originality or its non-genericity. Like, it is kind of basic, and like it is this similar to a number of other things, but I don't think that it's its job to be the most original thing ever. It's supposed to be fun, and like even like Sonic as a game, it's not the most original thing ever. It's similar to other video games of the time, just with a few twisty things here or there that make it particular. That is something that we've always tried really hard to do, that I don't think that's one of the things that I respected so much about Roger Ebert, was that he would look at a thing and he would say, I think this is trying to be this. And even if that might not be something that I would like necessarily, I think it did a good job of being this. Now, we also do an awful lot of like, this is how I in particular felt about it, which is how the like score at the end ends up being.
Yeah.
But things do get a certain amount of particularness for being what they meant to be. And I think it is probably what it meant to be, even if it's not the most original thing ever. And it was fun. And like, it could have been not the most original thing ever, and you could have just beaten your head through the seat in front of you from being bored to death the whole time. And it wasn't that.
No.
So it still manages to be sort of basic, like he accuses the army guy of being, but also fun. And, some of that is Jim Carrey, but it's not nearly all of it. There's lots of other fun things going on besides, even if there are weird things like the sister that make no sense. But it's fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, I think like,
that should be okay for something to just be fun sometimes.
Yeah. One of the things is like, whenever I was first, because I didn't get to see this. We don't have press passes, so we're not seeing movies like a week early.
No,
I would love to do that.
Lots of critics don't see. A lot of times studios want some things to be reviewed and other things they don't care so much about, and so sometimes you'll get press screenings, and then other things you just have to go and see, and probably like your newspaper or whatever pays for it if that's who you write for. But it's not like even big critics don't get special access to everything. But we get no access to anything.
Yeah, we got none of it.
No, I mean, from time to time, we Ghosts in the Graveyard and then 30 Love.
30 Love.
We got particular access to, and we appreciate when those kinds of things happen. But we just have to go and see things. So,
but like in seeing this, before I got to see this, like people who did get to review it, put their stuff up. And one of the things they were talking about was it felt like a buddy cop movie. And I after watching this, I had to, no. It feels more like
they're friendly. One of them is a cop, but yeah,
like Detective Pikachu was a buddy cop movie. This is a road trip movie. All right, it just happens to have a cop, but he doesn't do any policing. That's the thing, is he doesn't do any policing.
No, they're not solving a crime. They're not doing any investigation. He pulls his badge out that one time so they can get into the building. But that's like fake. policing. Like he doesn't really have any jurisdiction or authority there. But she's just like, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
This is not my job to police you from going on the roof.
And so like between this road trip kind of movie and then like the way they handle the comedy, his Sonic is literally a big kid with like hyper ADHD. Like he is moving so fast that if he's not busy doing something, then it's almost like it's an eternity for him. And so it's like having to manage his personality, his behavior compared to someone who is so much slower than him, and then having to run away from Dr. Robotnik while trying to get to San Francisco to get the rings, and then having the showdown. Like I think most of the comedy is on point. There is some comedy that is very clearly designed for children, which is fine. It's a kids movie. I didn't have a problem with any of the acting, like Donut Lord and Pretzel Lady, because I'm going to call them by their Sonic names. Like they make a great couple. Like when I see them together, they feel like a couple. And so like that's acting. I think they do good with that. Of course, we have the voice acting for Sonic. I will never remember his name because I'm terrible with names, but I know his face. Are you pulling up the name?
Are you talking about Sonic?
Yeah.
Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz.
Schwartz. But thank you, Ben Schwartz, for doing a great job with the voice. I appreciate it. I want to know, like, how much rework did you have to do whenever they had to change up the animations to get rid of all of that horrifying mouth?
Probably not much.
I mean,
like you record the voice first and then you animate to it. So
no, well, hopefully, you know, especially now. I know people talk about that studio closing, but like they were already under like terrible.
Oh, the studio that did the first version.
Well, like they did both versions because they were the ones who did the first one, and then they had to redo it, and that money loss is what caused, in air quotes, caused them to close down. But you know they were already failing on other projects, and so like I'm not putting this on them, but at the same time, hopefully they manage to like recoup some kind of loss and get themselves back together.
It is a weird thing that this is still happening. That this is like we're gonna design because like Sonic looks like something, and like he's always looked like the thing that he looks like. And there's lots of examples in different media forms, and you can look at the cartoons, you can look at the games, or you can look at the way the toys are sculpted, or the big full-size mascot suit. Like there are things like there's lots of reference, and so then to take that and say like we're looking at this and we're going to not really do that at all is a really weird because like this happened with the Ninja Turtles. Like they made the Ninja Turtles look really weird, and people were like, "Nope," and they were like, "Yeah, okay, we'll fix it," and they fixed it. Independently of Michael Bay saying they're aliens, and people saying no, they're not, and him saying no, they're not.
That's right. I like Michael Bay, but I will take a brick to his face so fast over the Turtles.
But like, it's weird that these things are still like we're just changing the design of things and then having to take it back. Like, why are we still doing this? Why can't we just look at things and make things the way they look? Without having to have people outrage in order to get you to get your act together.
Well, I think part of it is like whenever you're having to sit down and you're at the figurative drawing board and you have to come up with these designs. Like obviously there's going to be some level of concept work before they actually put the work in. And you would think there would be at least like a group of fans who are like, hey, we work on this, but we're also fans of this. And so, like, maybe there should be some form of quality control. Because I remember when the TMNT came out, and then there was like one dude who's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take this trailer and I'm gonna fix everything in it," and then it ended up looking really good because it fixed them so they didn't look like all their faces were smashed in. Like they looked different enough from like their original cartoon designs, but they looked clean. and it's like, hey, this would have been awesome. They obviously that never did happen. You know, like there was still their faces still looked all ganked up. But like with Sonic, like it's such a huge difference. It's not just the face; it's the entire
thing,
body. Like he's got these weird, scrawny, hairy legs. Like his back doesn't look like it's like it has like the large formed spines of quills as much as it just looks like he's got a hairy back. Like he's horrifying. Like he really is. Like I remember seeing like the promotional art before he was even shown, and it was just a silhouette from the lightning, and it's just like, what is this? Like it's Sonic, but I can tell he's hairy. And then you see like the bridge, and it's his legs, and it's just monstrous. And then they finally show him off, and he's like, meow. And like, yeah, we screamed just like Donut Lord screamed because, oh my God. And at this point, they are so far ahead that no one sat down and was like, we got to fix this. That looks horrible.
Yeah.
Like there shouldn't even had to have been an audience outrage. Like
that's what I mean. You'd think someone would be like, this doesn't look right. And they would get fixed before anyone ever saw it. But it keeps happening with, various different things. And it's not like Snakes on a Plane was, where people were like, this would be really cool if it was like this, and they looked at it and, that would be really cool. That's a lot cooler than what we were doing. Let's do that. So it's just like, this is not right. And like, it's obviously not right.
Yeah.
And just like independently not good. Like and it didn't bother me as much as it seemed to bother other people, but it isn't good. And like, especially when you see it compared to what they ended up with now, which is much, much better and looks much more like you would expect a Sonic when you put him in the world to look like.
Well, like,
and this isn't a problem. Like, if you look at Detective Pikachu, like, it's not a problem they had.
Well, see, that's the thing. Is like Detective Pikachu. They took Psyduck. Psyduck looks cute. They took Pikachu. Pikachu looks cute. Like they're hairy or whatever. I know Psyduck's supposed to have feathers, but whatever. Like they look like they were just bundles of fur that you just want to hug. Charizard, being like the dragon-esque Pokemon that he is, he's covered in scales. He's cool looking. You have Greninja, like the blue frogs, like they look like they're supposed to be frog skin. Like that's realistic, but it's not horrifying. Hey, that's pretty cool. But like there's other things that don't look that great, like Licky Tongue looks just that's hard to look at. Jigglypuff is hard to look at. Like there's some that are like really, really crazy, but they weren't the focus, so they could have them look like that, and it wasn't that big of a deal, But that's the thing, is like Sonic was the main character, and almost the entirety of the design that this movie would have to go through for anything organic. And it's just like, you can't have the focus of the movie look horrifying. And if they did, this movie would have flopped like almost immediately because no one would have cared. But because they said, hey, we made a mistake, we're going to fix it. So they owned up to it. It got tons of free press because of it. Because like the memes, like people are going to meme everything, especially if you don't want it memed. Yeah. And they took this and they were like, look how horrible this is. We're gonna laugh at it. And they did, and then like obviously the studio fixed it, and so that just creates more memes, which creates more press. And then like now there's people who are like, the audience is being too entitled. And like, no, listen. Sonic, like Pokemon, like these franchises belong more to the audiences that consume the material than they do some studio that buys the rights to it to make a movie. And so if you're making James Bond and then you make it where it's nowhere near like James Bond, why would I want to go see it? I don't care about it. Like that's not James Bond. That's something else that you slap James Bond's name to. If you were to make Sonic look horrifying, why would I want to go see it if he looks horrifying?
Yeah.
It's like this kind of thing where it's like you're taking something that belongs to somebody else. You're going to create something from it. And then if you don't respect the fandom, if you don't respect the audience enough to at least do a good job, then don't expect to get money from them for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the Warcraft movie. It's like it didn't do that good except for in China, and now look at Blizzard. Blizzard can't seem to make anything worth a damn, and so they just push everything like, hey, we'll just make money from China instead. And it's like, that's the stuff we don't want happening. Like, we, as I guess you'd say, just the Western world in general, like, here's an idea. Let's do the best with this idea that we can. Like, yeah, we want to make money off of it, but we want to make guaranteed money off of it, not speculated money. And so, hey, it's like, hey, if we give these people what they want, we know we will make money from this. And then we, being these people over here, being like, hey, they made something that we like. We're going to give them money for it. And the studio is like, hey, this design's horrible. We're going to fix it, and thank you very much. I don't see that as being entitled.
No, I mean, there are examples of audience entitlement that are much more clear, like the Mass Effect 3 ending, and like things like Lost and stuff. People are just like still outraged about like, this is not what I thought it was going to be, and so therefore it's bad. And this is not that. This is just like, we think this is not right, very good, and we're not going to tell you have to change it, but we're going to make fun of it because it's not very good. And then like, you decided to change it. And because it is safer to say like, well, seems like people don't really like this, so maybe if we make it more like people will like it, then they'll actually come and see it, and maybe they won't if we leave it the way it is. And it doesn't seem like they rewrote the story or anything.
No. Because
of anything that the audience said. They just changed the design of the character and made it look more like the character, so that I don't think is a bad thing or a dangerous precedent or anything. So we've already said that we like it, that we think it's fun. But we have to put a number on it. So how do we feel about stars?
I'm going to give it 4. It's not perfect, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's not perfect.
No.
We don't misunderstand.
Yeah, don't
It's
misunderstand. Like, I'm going to tell you, hey, if you got kids, you could take them to see this movie and they're going to enjoy themselves. You're going to enjoy yourself. If you like Sonic, then it's definitely worth seeing. It's still got some stuff in it that could be tweaked a little bit. So I'm just going to give it a 4. I almost wanted to give it a 5 when they were playing the Green Hill theme, like the really slow, like piano one when they're painting the house. And I'm like, right in the nostalgia bone.
Yeah. Stuff like that doesn't hit me as much because I don't have that strong a Sonic memory. Like, I didn't have a Genesis as a kid, so like most of my Sonic stuff is like after the fact or just like cultural absorbing or something, but I don't have like first-hand attachment the way that you and other people do. Like, I don't not like him or anything, but it just wasn't how it happened in real life. So that kind of stuff doesn't hit me the way that things like that have in other things that we've talked about or other things that we haven't talked about.
Well, like I like the Green Hill Zone theme. There's other themes from the games that I like way more. One of them is the flying battery. If you listen to YouTube, watch whatever, I would recommend. I believe it's called Dead Battery from Snapple. Is like my favorite remix of the song, and I've probably listened to it over 400 times. But like every time I hear it, like I remember playing the Sonic and Knuckles game and constantly dying because you're on a giant flying machine, and some of the zone is outside of the machine, and you have to like hang on to these pieces to like across, and if you don't jump just right, you just fall to your death immediately. So it's like when I hear it, like it's like this little level of alertness. So it's like, oh, don't want to fall to my death. So I would recommend checking that out.
I'm gonna give it 4 also, because even if it is a bit generic in parts, it was still really fun, and I had a good time. And especially for a video game movie, it's better than a lot of things that we've seen. And it's better than we probably would have gotten at an earlier time. Because, of course, this is a long time ago now that Sonic was, like, really the thing. Or, when he was the, like...
The bee's knees.
Him and Mario were having a fist fight all the time.
Now they just duke it out at the Olympics.
That they were working on a movie in like 93 or 94 or something, and there's been like some semblance of like we're trying to make a Sonic movie basically since then through to now, and it just gets passed around between studios and put on the shelf here and there, and different scripts are written and stuff. It was never like super close until this, which actually this is like 3 or 4 years getting it made from like when the beginning of it was supposed to be, and even when the director was hired, and then it got kind of put on the shelf, and then eventually ended up actually getting made. But what happened, among a number of other things, was the Super Mario Brothers movie came out and wasn't very good and didn't make very much money, and people didn't like it. And so then Sega looked at that and said, that didn't really work, we're afraid. And so then they didn't go ahead with the movie that was like in like pretty serious pre-production at the time, and they just kind of put it all to the side, and then it just ended up not really happening. Except, I mean, there was the animated movie, that's in like 2 parts, that came out on video. That's called Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, that came out came out in the U.S. in '99, but it came out in Japan in '96. It didn't come out in the U.S. until they decided to use it to promote Sonic Adventure, which was coming out for the Dreamcast. But so there is technically a Sonic movie, but not a live action one until now. And have you ever seen that one, the animated one?
If I did, I didn't realize that's what it was meant to be.
I mean, it's only an hour long, with like both episodes put together, even though they call it the movie. It was a really good usage of
making fun of the world's largest rubber band
ball. Well, the world's largest rubber band ball. I mean, I was going to say the "Don't Stop Me Now," the Queen song. Like, I really liked his "Here's What Life Is Like in Montana" montage with that song, because that was fun and appropriate. But yes, the world's largest rubber band ball.
Shots fired, man. Yeah, it was boring. No offense, I'm not going to the world's largest rubber band ball for a good time. I'm just saying.
Well, what is it? Is it the world's largest ball of yarn that they visit in the montage in a Goofy movie?
I think so.
So I don't know. There was and have been like various world's largest rubber band balls in various places. The like main one that was a roadside one was in Maryland, but closed down in 2006. So I don't know. I was going to try to like anchor where maybe they were at that point, if there was a real one somewhere between Montana and California. But there doesn't seem to be. So you don't think you would have a good time at the world's largest rubber band ball? The real one that was in Maryland was 15 feet across. So, and weighed 3,120 pounds. Seems like maybe Chevy Chase owns it now.
Why?
I don't know.
Plus, isn't he an asshole? So I don't really care.
I mean, I guess so, but He could have a really big ball of rubber bands if he wants, and still not be a nice person. And that's all we have to say about Sonic the Hedgehog. We'll see you next time.
Later. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter.
Keanu Reeves.